everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys all had a nice weekend. So obviously, good night of boxing on last night. The Pitbull Cruz against Lamont Roach fight. Obviously some, decent fights on the undercard as well. Before we get started, as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out, so, appreciate everyone that does. But yeah, good fights last night. I thought it was a good card at least. Firstly, I want to touch on the, Ashaki Foster against Stephen Fulton fight. Obviously, there was a lot of, talk about that fight because Stephen Fulton missed weight by a couple of pounds. So, that was disappointing to see. He couldn't win the 130-pound title, but they made it, where he could, win, the winner, would win the 135-pound interim title. Doesn't make much sense to me at all. I think the WBC were involved. Obviously, with the WBC, they've been in the news recently with Terrence Crawford. But yeah, I didn't understand that at all, to be honest with you. But look, I thought it was a very good performance from Ashaki Foster. Beat Stephen Fulton, relatively convincingly. I only think I gave Fulton maybe, 1 or 2 rounds maximum. So I thought it was an excellent performance from Ashaki Foster. Stephen Fulton, I think he showed a lot of heart, but ultimately, to me, he was a bit too one-dimensional. He was out of range a lot. I didn't really like the corner work from Bozienis. He, pretty much was just saying, walk him down, let your hands go. But he wasn't, that's not really technical instructions in the corner. I felt like Stephen Fulton, again, was out of range. His jab was pretty much non-existent. He didn't make any adjustments in that fight, whereas, Ashaki Foster did. Orthodox, southpaw. And as soon as he went southpaw, really, Ashaki Foster just took over that fight. And again, he won it comfortably. He outworked Fulton. Outboxed him, and it was a really good performance. As for the main event, a lot of people are saying that, did Lamont Roach get robbed? Straight away, not for me. Not for me at all. Watching that fight, I think the first thing that I really thought was that, really stuck out to me that I think, number one, Lamont Roach had the wrong game plan for me. Pitbull Cruz, we know what he is. Pitbull Cruz is tough as they come. He will swing away with hooks. He'll come forward, he'll pressure you all night. He's tough, he's durable. But essentially, you know what he is. And Pitbull Cruz, he can be a little bit one-dimensional. I think you saw that in the Jose Valenzuela fight. And for me, that is, there is a distinct, blueprint or game plan on how to beat someone like Pitbull Cruz. I think if you're not in shape, if you're not in good condition, then Pitbull Cruz is, and you're not on your A game, then Pitbull Cruz is an absolute nightmare for you because he's just going to be on it all night. But for me, Lamont Roach, I thought for the first 6 rounds, he really fought Pitbull's fight. Obviously got dropped, and I felt like that was the wrong game plan. In the mid to later rounds, I think you saw, what he should have done the entire time. Was, fight on the back foot, get that jab out, fight in the center of the ring. And I think when he did that, he was having some success. One thing I did not like from Lamont Roach, I felt like he was, complaining to the referee too much. Quickly on the referee, I thought he was awful. I thought the referee was terrible. I didn't agree with, taking away a point from Pitbull. He was constantly warning Pitbull for the holding and this and that. And this is my issue sometimes. I think certain guys, Devin Haney never gets warned for his holding. But whereas, Pitbull, he's getting points taken off, and, they said it was a low blow. Which, was it really? I know he hit, Lamont Roach in the side. But Lamont Roach is, constantly turning. So, it's, it is quite difficult. And it was, it was getting a bit messy at times. Obviously, Pitbull did get that knockdown as well. I felt like the commentary as well, extremely biased in Lamont Roach's favor. I think the commentators, it felt like they gave, Pitbull 2 or 3 rounds. I didn't agree with that at all. And at the end of the fight, I thought it was very close. I think it's one of those fights where it kind of depends, what you like. I think if you're someone that, likes the pressure and, the come forward, fighting style and, the constant, he's, work rate and he's forcing the fight, then I think, you're favoring Pitbull Cruz. But I think if you like the, the more skilled, the, leaner work, and, the more skilled style, then, you're obviously looking towards and favoring Lamont Roach. I personally, I think I had it maybe 1 round to Roach or quite even. Again, to me, I thought it was a very close fight. I thought one of the judges that had it, 4 rounds to Pitbull, I thought they were way off. I think, again, if you could favor it to maybe someone I can maybe understand, maybe Lamont Roach by a round or two. I think a draw is fair. Again, especially I didn't agree with, them taking a point off Pitbull Cruz. So yeah, I'm fine with that. But yeah, I don't want the officiating or the commentary or the judging. I don't want that to take away from the fact that, it was a very good fight. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thought it was a very good card. Frank Martin also got a, massive, knockout on the card as well. Actually, one of the knockouts of the year. I thought it was a, good performance from Frank Martin and a sensational knockout. And maybe we'll get, maybe Frank Martin against Hitchens or Frank Martin against maybe Keyshawn Davis when he comes back. Obviously, both of those guys in the main event were at 142. So I think that's a pretty good division. But yeah, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who did you guys feel like won the fight? And, do you think it was a robbery? Always, interested in your guys' opinion. So yeah, definitely, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one shortly.